Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do begin, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, we had Izuku. Izuku, he was in Foundation custody, and the Foundation, they began to experiment on Deku a little bit. The O5 Council were worried about having a 682 in their custody, other than the one they already had. Now, the unkillable reptile is a sociopathic monster. As far as they are aware, everything they do to this thing doesn't work. They have tried blowing it up, nuking it on multiple occasions. They tried, well, putting it in acid, and they've had numerous SCPs try and kill this thing. But it does not die. Izuku has the potential to be just as dangerous. And the O5 Council, they were trying to begin to take precautions. Izuku is an adolescent version of 682. As far as they are aware, Dr. Bright proved this thing is not outright violent to human life, even though Izuku was in possession by an SCP Fight Club. Now, Izuku fought many anomalies, and he has shown what could be best described as malicious intelligence for an animal. He is smart and tactical. He is a hunter. That is a part of his very nature. And after months of them trying to socialize Izuku, they finally experimented on him with Miss J's WizKids. And Izuku, he rapidly began to increase in intelligence. Now, they tried to conduct an interview on Izuku. However, he was only able to give a basic interview about a few things. All he really kept talking about was fighting. All he ever talked about really was all he knew. The cage, combat, and meat. That's all. He was always put against something to kill it, to fight it, to either be taken down and quote unquote black out, or to really just kill. It's all he ever knew. Now, Izuku, he resumed courses of Miss J's WizKids because the council, they want to conduct a proper interview. And Dr. Bright, he is one of the people on the research team monitoring Izuku. But the council, they are trying to keep him on a very tight leash. They are aware to the danger Dr. Bright does pose. They are aware of a lot of things that he could do. But right now, having him someplace where they can keep an eye on him, and if they do need to, put a round in his head and put the aiming on somebody else, it's simple. Dr. Bright is somebody Izuku can latch onto. He's not somebody who will die easily, and not somebody who will hold a grudge. They are weighing the options of keeping him on the project. And, well, they're also trying to weigh the options of socializing Izuku to a point of training him. They thought about putting him up against multiple SCP objects. I mean, they never came to vote, but they were suggestions. The idea of annihilating Izuku isn't a good one. The Foundation has a chance here. A chance they may never get again if they neutralize Izuku. I mean, if they could neutralize him. He has already proved to be incapable of death, something that he may never attain. And 682, the amount of termination efforts they have is from where they're sitting right now to redacted. So yeah, it's not good. That list is longer than they can count on one hand. And if they can have a version of 682 on their side and willing to endlessly throw their life on the line for the Foundation, I mean, they're not going to say no. Izuku is a resource they will have only once. If they don't use it well, it can go bad. Keeping him on a leash is good. I mean, training him is a dangerous idea, a double-edged sword. If he is immortal, he will live long. He will live to the end of the very universe, till the last star dies out. And how do they know that that loyalty will persist to the end of time? It's a good concern. How do they know the foundation or even the future of humanity could go that far? They don't. They have had theoretical unknowns thrown out to them over and over and over again. And this is the thing they need to figure out. Now, we do currently cut to Izuku, who does gonna sit there in his cell. Run out him sitting down and staring at a few things. Currently, him looking at the toys that he used to play with. And it feels weird in his mind. There's this feeling in his head. He isn't sure how to explain it. He knows how words work, at least in the English dialect. Though English isn't a language he does like to really speak in. It's weird sometimes. How did Dr. Bright say it? It's like somebody. No, that analogy just makes him hungry. Okay, so it's like somebody put every language together and shoved them into a trench coat. He said a few of them, but what were they again? Currently, that on deck his mind. In Izuku, he is trying to understand this analogy. As right now, they do come to walk into the room. Currently, Izuku going to turn and look towards them. Them walking over to the table and sitting down, bring their hands up and asking if Izuku could take a seat because they would like to conduct another test. And Izuku, we're going to actually somewhat walk over. We're not him going to move on all fours, for we're going to actually stand up onto his feet, walking over to the chair and sitting down, as currently the stool has no back support, allowing Izuku's tail to just somewhat sit there freely. And he will going to bring his hands onto the table. Yes? How are you doing today, SCP-682-2? I am confused about many things. Thoughts. Words are strange. Weird to use. I'm sure they are. However, with time, it'll be easier. What about Miss J? Would you like to learn with her today? Possibly. Possibly? You had it right the first time. I would like to conduct tests, Izuku. Would that be fine? Ooh. Food? Food afterwards. Okay? Or, well, Dr. Bright has given you chocolate. How about this, Izuku? I can put in a special request for you, but you have to answer my questions to the best of your abilities. You have been learning, correct? Yes. Miss J. Good teacher. Very good teacher, Izuku. I know. In fact, never mind. Let's begin the test. Currently them turning to a box in the other chair, expressing. Now they are going to go over basic mathematics, and then they're going to go over a few other things. And, well, they want to see where he does think about them. Currently her going through a few things. She's going to show Izuku some flashcards. Currently him showing basic understandings of math, and having some difficulty with multiplication. However, whenever Izuku does begin to see the premise of it just being larger numbers, he does begin to actually show proficiency with that. And right now, there also is the fact that she has to go to begin with shapes. Izuku being able to make out many of them and name them. And then she's going to begin with animals. Currently, her holding a flashcard, and Deku stares at it. Hamster. Okay, good. Her holding up another one. Chicken. Food. No, is it? Well, that's acceptable. Okay, how about this one? Ooh, cow. Okay, good. Currently her setting the card down. Bring your hand up and grabbing another card. We know her putting it down in front of Izuku, and Izuku doesn't stare at the person. Him looking down as right now he's gonna bring his hands up. We know him slamming them on the table and maybe throwing himself backwards. We know him flying into the air and smashing the top of the cell. As right now he's gonna turn invisible and the person, they do just don't stand there. We know them backing away from the table and falling out of their chair. As right now, everybody in the security room will just won't stare on. And currently, she will get a look around the room. Her breathing heavily and a lot more surprised. As Deku, he's not in the cell. He's SCP-682-2? Danger! Her looking up, hearing that sound. And Deku, we're gonna say it again. Danger! And this does somewhat confuse her. She showed him an animal, and he associated it with danger. Okay, well, he's not outright hostile. Currently, security personnel running into the room, them holding their weapons as the doctor is informed to stay where she is and they will retrieve her. One of them staring around the cell. Currently, one of them bringing down some goggles as the lights are going to go out. And Deku, he does just not sit there on the roof. One of him stuck to the ceiling as the person, they do to hold up the weapon. Them turning and bringing their hand up talking about how he had a reaction. Now, the person is a turn. The doctor expressing, if he wanted to harm her, he would harm her. He has shown intelligence. Remember this. His reaction was of alarm. Part of him is still an animal. And the personnel would return, seeing that Izuku currently has not moved, and the lights in the room do to turn back on. The person turning off their infrared and still holding the weapon up to Izuku, where he should presumably be. And the doctor, they do just don't stand back up, trying to inform Izuku that what's on the card isn't actually here. It's a picture. Miss J told him what pictures are, right? And Izuku, he will get someone to actually turn back visible. Him still sitting there on the roof, refusing to come down for the rest of the test. And currently, this does raise some concerns. They showed Izuku a picture, and it spooked him. And that is not very good. Currently, them writing this down in the log and wanting to know more information. Now, with that being said, we do currently cut over to somebody else right now. As right now, they were in the middle of a lot. They wanted to conduct much more. Find out more about their research. Find out more about everything. They have so much work to do, so little time. And yet, no one really does believe them. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to hear. Everybody is against him. The resources, the doctors, everybody else. They think he's a madman. Yet even then, they don't see that the pestilence is there. It is around, and it, unfortunately, does affect so many. As a doctor, it is his job, no, his solemn duty, to eradicate the pestilence. And it shall be done. It shall be made simple, swift, and clean. Sadly, the pestilence is wider spread than he did believe, and this is an unfortunate outcome. However, every day he does get a little bit closer, a little bit more. Though, today is another day. Currently, I'm going to turn, and looking at the security personnel that are inside the room. We're not him going to hold up one of his needles with a lot going through his mind. Him going to turn to the rest of the medical equipment he was currently polishing. And he will just want to set the needle up into his sleeve. Him going to walk over and grab one of the scalpels. Him turning to one of the doctors in the room, expressing a few things about how he does have much to question. Doctor, he does have an inquiry. Currently I'm going to turn. And security, they do stare at SCP-049, as right now, he would somewhat trying to express a few things. Now, this is where we do currently have the Foundation at Site 14, who do have their alarms go off because there is a breach. Now, Izuku, he does sit there on the ceiling. Right now, him looking around his room and hearing that alarm blaring and blaring and blaring. And it's not a good sound. Not one he does like. Currently, him looking around the room and beginning to panic a bit, as Izuku would bring his hands up, covering his ears. He already saw the danger, and now he's hearing loud noises. And it does annoy him. Currently, him looking around the room and beginning to move rapidly. And the researchers, they do begin to note this. Their room has been locked down, and Izuku is showing frantic behavior. However, as long as they stay here in the room, they should be okay. They should be fine. And we do currently have Dr. Bright, who, against all odds, decides to fucking leave the room during the lockdown, unlocking this door, bypassing security measures, and essentially making this room free for the Hellbrook Containment to get in, putting all their lives in danger. But oh well, I guess. Now, Dr. Bright, he would step out into the hallway. Currently, everybody turning their heads and looking at the door. And Dr. Bright, he would close it. Currently, he might turn and hum a bit of a tune. As right now, there actually is going to walk over to the door and go to bring his hand up. Looking around and not seeing security personnel. As somebody, they do get around the corner. Dr. Bright going to open the door to the cell as he would just won't step in. And there actually is Izuku, who the moment Dr. Bright opened the door to the cell, he had Deku tackle him into the ground as he immediately had his claws slice into the hallway ground. Currently, him looking around and standing back up. The sound being louder out here as Deku does begin to run on all fours down the hallway. And Dr. Bright would go to somewhat sit up. Currently, him not thinking this through. Though, what would happen if he puts a chainsaw on the upgrade machine? That currently going through his mind. And Dr. Bright has his priorities a little skewed. Now, he will go to currently stand. Him goes on a turn and find that his arm, it is fractured. However, he can deal with that later. Currently, him can try and chase after Izuku. And right now, Dr. Bright is having a bit of fun with this. And we do currently have Deku. Deku currently is sprinting on all fours down the hallway. Currently, him looking around as he would actually turn a corner. Him going to see a person. And right now they are bringing their weapon up, firing at something that Deku does not see. Currently them turning their head and staring at Deku. As somebody, they become stepping forwards, grabbing Deku onto the security personnel. Them slamming the person against the wall and bringing their teeth out, biting into the man. Currently them actually ripping the man's throat out as he's going to fall down to the ground. Them continuing to feast on security personnel. And Deku would go to actually see a man come walking around the corner. Him going to just bring his hand up, talking about it. He'd need go. Deku looking at the man. Him somewhat staring on. He's not a... What SCP is that? The man turning to Izuku, giving him his full attention. And currently Dr. Bright does come running up. Him going to lean over a bit, talking about how, it's a bit hard to keep up. Currently him going to stand up fully as the play doctor brings their hand onto this man's shoulder. Him going to fall forwards, immediately killed. And currently Deku does just stare at the man. Him going to simply just talk about it. Well now, ain't this something? More people for him to cure of the pestilence. This is quite... Him turning to Izuku and staring at him a bit confused. Another anomaly. Another SCP. Hmm, strange. This is odd. Currently, I'm going to step forwards, and Dr. Bright would express to Izuku, use adaptation! Currently, someone going to look at Izuku, and Deku does a look at Dr. Bright. Currently, him staying on his feet as the Plague Doctor would step forwards, bring his hand out and tapping onto Izuku. And Deku immediately going to fall over. Dr. Bright's going to stare at that, bring his hand up, and well, his Pokemon is down, so well, does that classify as a knockout? The Plague Doctor currently stepping towards Dr. Bright, expressing, he does seem rather calm. However, his cooperation would be best. And Dr. Bright would bring his hand up, talking about it. Is he sure? Because it looks like he didn't fully cure him. The doctor going to turn, and Izuku, he does want to someone stand there. Him a bit confused by what happened. That was weird. And Dr. Bright does know from Izuku. If he takes this guy down, he'll get him some chicken nuggets. And Deku turns looking at that. Currently the Plague Doctor turning to Dr. Bright, trying to ask about how exactly he expects that thing to. Deku rushing forwards, or him tackling the Plague Doctor directly into the wall. And the Doctor is a lot more caught off guard, or him bringing his hand up and turning, grabbing Deku by the face as Izuku, he has to stare at the Doctor. Him bringing his hand up and turning, throwing the Doctor against the other wall. And currently, Dr. Bright does just not sit there, holding his phone up and recording everything. As right now, Dr. Bright does sit there, wishing he had a bowl of popcorn. Now, Deku does begin to throw the Plague Doctor around the hallway. Right on him, just throwing him up against the walls and bashing him into them. And currently, security personnel, they do come by. Currently, them taking care of the SCP-049-2s, the byproducts of the Doctor, and then seeing Izuku. Currently, him sitting there and holding the Doctor against the ground. Right on him staring at the Doctor as his tail does come slithering up. Right on it producing a spike as Deku stares down at the man. And the Doctor is trying to ask. He would like to conduct research on this one. Abnormalities, pestilence free. Truly a remarkable creature. And currently security will go to someone step forwards, bring their weapons up, and yelling for 62-2 to get off of SCP-049. And Mizuku will just don't look up. Dr. Bright stepping forwards and patting Izuku on the head, talking about it. Don't feel so bad. It'll take time for them to trust him. Him expressing, he's Dr. Bright. He's the one currently in charge of SCP-682-2. Listen, the O5 Council is going to anesthetize them, so he'll make this quick. It's way above their security clearance, but the SCP he released, it managed to take out and adapt to 049. This is going to be seen as an unregulated test, but at the same time, the safest way to keep personnel okay and safe. A utilization of SCP-682-2. Or, well, the reptilian child. So yeah, he wants them all to be aware. He practically just saved lives. And if the O5 Council don't write him up for this shit, then hey, maybe they'll remove a rule. Ooh, maybe they'll give him his credit cards back. He really did like having those. Now, this does raise some questions. Currently, somebody with higher clearance walking forwards. And currently seeing Izuku holding 049 to the ground. Them staring at the situation. Because the Plague Doctor is actually making physical contact with Izuku. And Deku is not being killed. Them turning and yelling out for all of them to look around the area and contain any more loose anomalies. Make sure the base is secure and make sure everything is fine. Afterwards, report back to them because they need to follow current containment procedures. Currently, everybody going to shout and going to leave. were now all of them responding positively to the orders. Now, right now, the commander does step forward to Dr. Bright, expressing a few things about how they'd like to have, well, Dash 2 escort 49 back to his cell. Would that be possible? And 49 would just not look up, expressing he is more than willing to comply, as long as he does get specimens of this one's blood. In fact, he's more than willing to be cooperative now. He has something that will pique his interest for some time. Quite the medical curiosity, though it does make him wonder if he can cure everybody if he does have some further research. The commander going to look down, telling the plague doctor, keep dreaming. Currently them training their weapon on his head, and expressing to Dash 2 to back off of him slowly, and if he makes a sudden move, hit him. Hard. Like, really hard. And Izuku, he doesn't look up. Currently him nodding and backing away from the plague doctor. His tail still with a spike on the end of it. And the doctor doesn't fully stand up and pat themselves off. Them turning and gonna walk back to their cell, as Izuku is right behind them, and the commander and Dr. Bright are right behind those two. And after everything is said and done, and containment is reestablished, there is where Deku is taken back to his cell, and people are notified about what happened. Personnel who do need to have their minds wiped to the situation. Information they should not have known. And currently, there also is where the O5 Council are alerted to the situation. Site 14 had a containment breach, and it wasn't what they were expecting. Dr. Bright released Dash 2, the reptilian's child, into the Foundation site, and because of this, they may have stopped a more widespread containment breach. The doctor made a move, and it cost them a number of personnel. Along with that, a good number of declash. However, other than that, the breach was reestablished and contained. And they don't need to conduct a test or even wait for approval for one of the tests they wanted to perform. Izuku listened well. And currently a commander, they have it put in a written report, along with even an audio log, about 682-2, and the behavior that was shown off. Now, there actually is an Izuku cell, where he does get someone sit there. Him a bit more concerned, confused. He panicked. He ran away. He got to fight a bit. But that thing was not a fighter. It didn't put up a fight. It does somewhat annoy him, make him not feel not feel good. Those words are adequate. Currently it going through his mind. And right now their actions where somebody does come walking into the room. Deku turning his head as the person would walk over. Them setting down some food onto the table, and Izuku comes running over and sitting down. Him looking down at the plate and turning his head a bit confused. We're now Deku seeing a steak that does have some sauce on it, along with some mashed potatoes and even some green beans. And he will just don't look up. A little bit more confused because this isn't the regular food. Currently the person gonna turn and gonna set down a bit of a platter before we're gonna bring it up. Them setting down a plate of chocolate cake, expressed to Izuku. Currently somebody wanted to reward him for what he did today, and they do want to make it quite aware. He did well. He followed orders, and the Foundation, they do want to reward him for this. they do like this. If Izuku is more willing to comply, they like to do further tests and study. They do have a needle here currently. They would like to get a blood sample of his. Though there has been some security concerns. Currently, Dr. Bright walking right in. Him walking over and bringing his hand onto Izuku's shoulder, telling the doctor, okay, so, see, he's not like 049. The theory of him absorbing anomalous abilities did not prove fruit. Currently, Dr. Bright bringing his hand up. Him bringing his head over to his heart and going to fall backwards. And the researcher would immediately just want to bring their legs down, throwing their chair backwards. Currently, them rolling across the floor as Izuku does a turn, looking down at Dr. Bright, who does begin to start laughing. Going to actually sit back up, talking about it. He can't believe they fell for that. Fuck you, Dr. Bright. I mean, no, no. I am going. After everything that happened today, don't do that. I'm just saying. I thought it was funny. Them shouting at Dr. Bright. And currently Deku with a turn, looking back down at his food, bring his hands up, and going to bring them down. Currently him ripping off a piece of steak with his bare hands. And this, it does mean a lot. Currently him biting into the meat and finding that it's really good. Currently them turning back to Izuku, who is wolfing down his food and showing that he does enjoy the meal. Currently them turning and looking at Dr. Bright, before Dr. Bright was just going to shrug, talking about how they didn't teach him table manners. Now, Deku, he'll return, the person going to express to Izuku about how he should probably use the utensils next time and enjoy his food. Why? Izuku, sometimes food is more than just food. I mean, you like the cooked chicken, yes? Yes, is there chicken? No, Izuku, there's no chicken. That's why we're saying slow down. It would be a good recommendation. Here, I'm going to turn, grabbing the cake and setting it in front of Izuku. Him bring up his hands as the person would inform him. Up, wipe them off. Them handing Izuku a towel. Him wiping his hands down as the person does try to at least train Izuku and how to use a bit of a fork. They already had to train Izuku in a various amount of things. And this, it appears to be one they're still trying to get down. Table manners. And Deku, he does find it to be rather annoying. Him sitting there and eating a chocolate cake that he could just shove into his mouth. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part. And hey, I thought about introducing some SCPs of my own, but I need to know a few things. Number one, if you guys could leave down numbers for anomalies, that'd be nice. I found that some anomalies are neutralized. And in some Foundation canons, I've seen people move anomalies up and reclassify them as other numbers, but just say formally they were another number. I mean, I want to bring an anomaly of mine, but not just call it this number here or change an anomaly's number because I want to use that random number I pick. It's a whole thing. The Foundation has a number for an anomaly because everybody has made an anomaly at some point. I've even found that some are inconclusive because neutralized SCPs do still maintain their number category. So, yeah, if I do just pick a random number, I'll say to check it out. If that would be better or work, because so far the ones that are not properly listed get a bit more skewed, especially after SCP-3000, because that's where things just sort of spiral. It becomes a lot more inconclusive. everyone seems to know the classics, but not really a lot of the newer stuff. Because even I'm seeing SCPs that I didn't know about before. Anyways, sorry for that little rant. Leave a number of an SCP down, and if I check it out and I might like it, it might make it into the series. I do hope you guys enjoyed, though.